On a stormy night in 2012, Filipino fishermen at Scarborough Shoal found themselves blocked by Chinese Coast Guard vessels. Outnumbered and outgunned, they retreated, surrendering waters that had sustained their families for generations. This was more than a clash at sea. It was a flashpoint in a larger power struggle. At the heart of the conflict is the South China Sea, a resource-rich maritime zone claimed by multiple nations. China's sweeping 9-dash line cuts deep into the EEZs of the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Indonesia, defying international law. In 2016, the Philippines won a landmark ruling at The Hague, invalidating China's claims. Beijing, however, dismissed the verdict, ramping up militarization and asserting dominance. The stakes go beyond borders. This region is a global choke point, carrying $3.4 trillion in annual trade and holding vast, untapped energy reserves. It is also a geopolitical battleground. The US, Japan, Australia, and European allies back the Philippines, countering China's ambitions. Meanwhile, Beijing finds support from Russia, Cambodia, and others who align with its strategic vision. As tensions rise, the world watches, will the next Scarborough Shoal standoff remain a diplomatic skirmish or spiral into open conflict? In recent months, the United States has reinforced its commitment to the Philippines amidst escalating tensions in the South China Sea. This enduring alliance is anchored in the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, which obligates both nations to support each other in the event of an armed attack.
I want to be clear. I want to be very clear. The United States defense commitment to the Philippines is ironclad. The United States defense agreement to the Philippines is ironclad. Any attack on the Filipino aircraft vessels or armed forces will invoke our mutual defense treaty with the Philippines.
In November 2024, the U.S. Navy's USS Dewey conducted a freedom of navigation operation, FONOP, near the Spratly Islands, challenging unlawful maritime claims and asserting navigational rights as per international law. Similarly, on November 25, 2024, the USS Hopper executed a FONOP near the Paracel Islands, reinforcing the U.S. stance against excessive maritime claims. To reinforce maritime security, the U.S. has enhanced intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance support for Philippine operations, particularly around the Second Thomas Shoal. This collaboration aims to improve coordination and interoperability between the two nations' armed forces. Diplomatically, U.S. officials have consistently reaffirmed their support for the Philippines. During the ASEAN summit in Laos 5 months ago, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken expressed concerns over China's increasingly dangerous and unlawful activities in the South China Sea, highlighting the U.S. commitment to defending the Philippines and supporting Taiwan.
We remain concerned about China's increasingly dangerous and unlawful actions in the South and East China Seas, which have injured people, harmed vessels from ASEAN nations, and contradict commitments to peaceful resolution of disputes. The United States will continue to support freedom of navigation and freedom of overflight in the Indo-Pacific. We also believe it's important to maintain our shared commitment to protect stability across the Taiwan Strait.
More recently, Philippine ambassador to the U.S., Jose Manuel Romualdez, confirmed that defense agreements, including military support and joint patrols, remain intact under the current U.S. administration. These developments highlight the United States' unwavering support for the Philippines, aiming to uphold international law and ensure stability in the South China Sea region. Japan remains a steadfast advocate of the rule of law and freedom of navigation, translating its commitment into direct support for the Philippines' maritime security. In June 2024, JICA signed a loan agreement to provide 5 new 97-meter multi-role response vessels, MRRVs, to the Philippine Coast Guard, enhancing its capability for law enforcement and search and rescue operations. This builds on previous aid, including 10 44-meter MRRVs in 2013 and 2 97-meter MRRVs in 2016. reflecting Japan's sustained investment in Philippine maritime infrastructure. Beyond patrol assets, Japan supported the Philippine Navy in December 2024 through its Official Security Assistance (OSA) program, supplying coastal radar systems and rigid-hulled inflatable boats (RHIBs) to enhance maritime domain awareness in critical waters like the South China Sea and Luzon Strait. In January 2025, Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya condemned unilateral attempts to alter the status quo by force, stressing the need to uphold international law. A month later, defense ministers from both nations agreed to deepen security ties, focusing on interoperability and joint exercises to counter common threats. Despite economic risks from China, Japan remains committed to reinforcing Philippine maritime security, demonstrating its resolve in maintaining a rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific.
日米豪非、また日米非など同盟国同志国による連携を今後さらに深めていくことにつきましても、テオドロ国防大臣との間で認識を一致させることができました。今後とも我が国としましては、日米の連携を強化をいたしまして、インド太平洋地域の平和と安定の確保のために全力で取り組んでいく決意であります。
The common cause of resisting any unilateral attempt to reshape the global order without the consent of the participants of this global order and the attempt to reshape international law by force.
Through sustained defense cooperation and strategic investments, Japan continues to be a crucial pillar of stability in the South China Sea. Australia remains a firm advocate for peaceful dispute resolution and adherence to international law in the South China Sea. In November 2024, it strengthened defense ties with the Philippines through their first maritime cooperative activity, involving Philippine Navy vessels BRP Gregorio del Pilar and BRP Davao del Sur, alongside the Royal Australian Navy's HMAS Toowoomba. This exercise reinforced both nations' commitment to freedom of navigation and regional security. Australia has publicly denounced China's forceful measures amid escalating tensions. Both countries denounced Beijing's aggressive actions and reaffirmed the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal verdict as final and binding during the November 2024 meeting of the Defense Ministers of Australia and the Philippines. Australia is strengthening its maritime defense capabilities by accelerating the deployment of long-range anti-ship missiles to address increasing threats. However, these security moves come with economic risks, given China's role as a key trading partner. Navigating this delicate balance remains crucial to avoiding potential trade disputes. Despite these challenges, Australia continues to champion a rules-based Indo-Pacific, actively engaging in regional defense initiatives while upholding international law. Similarly, the United Kingdom has reinforced its commitment to freedom of navigation in the South China Sea through naval deployments, diplomatic efforts, and defense collaborations, further strengthening the push for a rules-based maritime order. In March 2025, British Foreign Minister David Lammy expressed deep concerns over China's dangerous and destabilizing activities in the South China Sea, emphasizing the significance of these trade routes for both the UK and the global economy. During his visit to the Philippines, Lammy highlighted the country's vulnerability to challenges concerning freedom of navigation and international law due to Chinese actions. This visit culminated in the signing of a joint framework agreement to enhance cooperation in defense, regional security, and climate action. In December 2023, the UK government condemned the unsafe tactics employed by Chinese vessels against the Philippines, highlighting its opposition to actions that escalate tensions and threaten regional stability. The UK reiterated the importance of adherence to UNCLOS and called on both China and the Philippines to respect the legally binding findings of the 2016 Arbitral Tribunal. Demonstrating its commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific, the UK announced plans to deploy a carrier strike group led by one of its Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers to the region in 2025. This deployment aims to strengthen defense ties with allies such as Japan and other nations in the area. The carrier strike group will include naval escorts and F-35 combat jets conducting joint exercises with regional partners to uphold international maritime norms. Through these diplomatic and military initiatives, the UK reinforces the international rules-based order, contributing to a multilateral response to challenges in the South China Sea. By collaborating with allies and regional partners, the UK seeks to promote stability, uphold international law, and ensure the freedom of navigation in this strategically vital region. Canada highlighted the importance of international law and the peaceful resolution of disputes, aligning its actions with these principles through increased defense collaborations and naval deployments in the Indo-Pacific region. In March 2025, Canada and the Philippines finalized negotiations for a pivotal defense agreement aimed at bolstering joint military exercises and defense engagements. This pact, expected to be signed in the coming months, seeks to enhance interoperability between the armed forces of both nations, addressing mutual concerns over regional security dynamics, particularly in the South China Sea. Philippine officials have highlighted the significance of this agreement in strengthening their defense posture amid external challenges. Demonstrating its commitment to regional stability, Canada has augmented its naval deployments in the Indo-Pacific. In June 2024, the Royal Canadian Navy announced the deployment of HMCS Vancouver to participate in Exercise Rim of the Pacific 2024, followed by Operation Horizon in the Indo-Pacific. This deployment underscores Canada's dedication to maintaining a consistent naval presence in support of a free, open, and inclusive Indo-Pacific, as articulated by Defense Minister Bill Blair. Through these strategic initiatives, Canada aligns itself with allies in upholding international norms, reinforcing a collective commitment to the rules-based international order. This approach not only enhances bilateral defense ties, but also contributes to broader regional security and stability. France maintains a steadfast commitment to freedom of navigation and adherence to international law, actively engaging in the Indo-Pacific to promote maritime security. In February 2025, France's nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, the Charles de Gaulle, conducted combat drills with Filipino forces in the South China Sea. These exercises aim to enhance contingency readiness and supported France's dedication to regional security and the enforcement of international maritime norms. France's proactive engagement in the region, including leading multinational exercises like Clemenceau 25, reflects its commitment to a multilateral approach to maritime security. By collaborating with allies and regional partners, France contributes significantly to the collective effort of maintaining stability and upholding international law in the Indo-Pacific. The European Union consistently advocates for the peaceful resolution of disputes and the respect for international law, particularly concerning maritime conflicts. The EU has expressed concerns over actions that escalate tensions in the South China Sea, emphasizing the necessity for all parties to adhere to international law. This unified stance exerts diplomatic pressure on nations that challenge established maritime norms, promoting stability and legal compliance in the region. While prioritizing diplomatic avenues, the EU retains the option of implementing economic sanctions to enforce adherence to international law. This potential measure serves as a deterrent against unlawful activities in disputed maritime areas, reinforcing the EU's commitment to a rules-based international order. Cambodia maintains a steadfast alliance with China, often aligning with Beijing's stance on the South China Sea disputes. This relationship is supported by substantial Chinese economic aid and investment, which has significantly influenced Cambodia's foreign policy decisions. Recent developments have highlighted the deepening military ties between Cambodia and China. Satellite imagery from late 2024 revealed the presence of Chinese naval vessels, including 2 corvettes, at Cambodia's Ream Naval Base. This base, strategically located on the Gulf of Thailand, has undergone significant expansions, including the construction of a 300-meter pier capable of accommodating larger warships. Despite Cambodian officials asserting that the base's development is solely for national defense, the evident Chinese military presence has raised concerns among neighboring countries and the international community about China's expanding influence in Southeast Asia. Cambodia's alignment with China has, at times, disrupted the consensus within the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, regarding the South China Sea disputes. This division weakens ASEAN's collective bargaining power and allows China to exert greater influence in regional matters, thereby challenging the bloc's cohesion and effectiveness. Laos similarly exhibits support for China's positions, largely due to its heavy reliance on Chinese economic assistance. This dependency influences Laos's foreign policy, often leading to alignment with Beijing on regional issues, including the South China Sea disputes. China's investments in Laos span various sectors, including infrastructure, energy, and agriculture. This extensive economic involvement has resulted in Laos often siding with China in regional forums, thereby reinforcing China's strategic interests in Southeast Asia. While Russia does not explicitly endorse China's 9-line claim in the South China Sea, it aligns with Beijing in opposing external interference in the region. This alignment is evident through joint military exercises and coordinated diplomatic positions. Russia and China have conducted joint naval exercises in the South China Sea, signaling a united front against perceived Western encroachment. These drills enhance China's strategic posture in the region and complicate efforts by other nations to challenge its maritime claims. The evolving dynamics of the crude oil market in Asia have further cemented the Russia-China partnership. Both nations are vying to increase their oil exports to major importers like China and India, with Russia offering discounted prices due to Western sanctions. This energy cooperation not only strengthens economic ties, but also aligns their strategic interests in countering Western influence in the region. Myanmar's stance on the South China Sea is influenced by its complex political landscape and economic ties with China. The ongoing political instability has led the ruling junta to seek support from China, resulting in increased Chinese influence in the country. China's investments in Myanmar encompass critical infrastructure projects, including the development of a deep-sea port at Kyauk Phu. This port provides China with strategic access to the Indian Ocean, bypassing the contested South China Sea routes. Such developments enhance China's strategic reach and underscore Myanmar's role in Beijing's regional ambitions. Myanmar's alignment with China introduces uncertainties in Southeast Asian geopolitics. The deepening of economic and military ties between the two countries could shift regional power balances and complicate efforts by ASEAN and other international actors to address disputes in the South China Sea. Tensions in the South China Sea continue to escalate, increasing the risk of military confrontations. With frequent close encounters between naval and air forces, the potential for miscalculations remains high. A single incident, such as a collision or an aggressive maneuver, could quickly spiral into a larger conflict, drawing in regional and global powers. The presence of military alliances like the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty further raises the stakes, making any escalation a dangerous prospect. Beyond security concerns, economic stability is also at risk. The South China Sea is one of the world's busiest trade routes, with over $3.37 trillion in annual commerce passing through its waters. Any major disruption, whether from military conflict, blockades, or heightened tensions, could have severe consequences for global supply chains. Local economies, particularly those dependent on fishing, are already suffering. As territorial disputes limit access to traditional fishing grounds, communities across Southeast Asia are feeling the economic strain. Diplomatic efforts to resolve the dispute remain challenging. With China rejecting the 2016 Permanent Court of Arbitration ruling and ASEAN nations struggling to reach a unified stance, meaningful dialogue is often stalled. Trust between claimants continues to erode, making negotiations increasingly difficult. Without a strong multilateral approach, backed by international law and diplomacy, the region risks being locked in an endless cycle of tension and confrontation. A lasting resolution to the South China Sea dispute demands a strategic mix of diplomacy, legal frameworks, and regional cooperation. Finalizing a legally binding code of conduct, COC, between China and ASEAN is critical to preventing unilateral actions that heighten tensions. This COC must align with the 1982 UNCLOS and enforce peaceful dispute resolution. Bilateral talks between the Philippines and China remain essential for managing immediate concerns like fishing rights and military activities. But they must not undermine the 2016 arbitral ruling, which rejected China's sweeping claims. Multilateral diplomacy, engaging ASEAN, Japan, the US, and Australia, is equally crucial in upholding international law and reinforcing regional stability. Confidence-building measures such as hotlines, joint patrols, and crisis management mechanisms can prevent accidental conflicts. Joint resource development in fisheries and energy reserves offers a cooperative alternative to territorial confrontations. Ultimately, peace hinges on adherence to legal rulings. China must respect international court decisions rather than dismissing those that conflict with its interests. Upholding the rule of law ensures regional stability, fair resource access, and freedom of navigation for all nations. Thank you for tuning into our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.